I don't know if you are into catacombs, and I don't know if you have visited Paris catacombs, but if next time you find yourself in Paris and decide to visit catacombs, I want to tell you this story that happened to me in the catacombs, and then you decide if you would want to visit them yourselves. My friend Yakov and I were visiting Paris a few years ago, and we didn't really have much to do there. And leafing through the tourist literature and guidebooks, Yakov, who's a great friend of mine, a man that I trust and fully and love dearly, comes up with this uh, idea. Mark, listen, he says, there are these famous Paris catacombs deep underground under the Paris. It used to be a cemetery. They used to put dead bodies there. Like 2 million French people, Parisians, were buried there at one time. But now this whole space is empty. There's nothing there. It's a peculiar place. It's unusual. Why don't we visit it? Well, I am very claustrophobic, and I don't like to hang out with things dead or be around things dead. So I'm telling him, like, are you sure that there is nothing left there in those catacombs? That they are emptied of dead bodies, that you can just go and not find anything there, and it's just nice and empty, and then I'll go. But if there are dead bodies, I really feel very awkward about that. And he leaves more through this literature and says, no, there were 2 million dead bodies there, but they removed them all and they are all gone and it's all empty, just catacombs. Well, I thought, like, all right, empty catacombs, why not? So we go to the place where the catacombs are in Paris, and in the street we see this little crowd standing around the entrance, and we buy our tickets and line up in line to get inside of the catacombs. And when we get to the entrance, it turns out to be that this is a staircase, a spiral staircase, wide just like this, like probably twice the width of my arms. Spiral staircase going down, deep down into the underground. And we start descending, and there are people above us descending behind us, and there are people beneath us descending in front of us. And it takes about probably 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes to get to the bottom. And we are going deep down somewhere. And I'm just thinking, like, all right, that's okay, but I'm also calculating the situation here, analyzing it, and I'm like, okay, so there's one way in, there should be somewhere way out. Let's just find the way out and get the hell out from these catacombs. Let's get over with the catacombs. So we get to the bottom, and we find ourselves in a nice, well-lit room. Rather a long white corridor that leads somewhere, and again we are walking in one direction. It's one way only, somewhere, and there's nothing there. Absolutely nothing there. The rooms are absolutely empty. It's an enfilade of room, one after another, large spaces, well lit, nice. Nothing there, and I'm kind of like, all right, I can handle that. As claustrophobic as I am, I can handle that. I can live with it. Yakov walks behind me and like, see, Mark, there's nothing to worry about. It's empty, it's nice, it's well lit. And then suddenly, in the end of this corridor, we see that the lights are kind of more dim, and there's less light up ahead, and there are people standing there, like a group of people, and they're looking at something. They're like staring at something and looking and staring. Now we're approaching them, and we are at the entrance into another room, very wide, big room, and that room is dark, and the walls are not painted. There is not much light. It's like a cave, like dark kind of sandy walls, and it's like a cave, and it's not well lit. And I look inside behind these people, like I move through them and make my way forward, and then I see that what they're looking at, it's piled up to my neck, maybe higher, sometimes lower, uh, nicely piled up, nicely arranged piles of human bones, like rib cages, skulls, arm bones, leg bones, all nicely arranged by group, skulls together, rib cages together, stashed one on top of another. And people are looking at that, and it's a large room, and there is like a little corridor through the piles of bones, probably just as wide as my arm span. And I'm thinking, okay, well, that's a whole room of dead bones. That is not fun. I don't like it. But if it's just one room, I'll just pass, and maybe at the exit from this room, there is an exit outside. We'll just climb another spiral staircase and we'll be done. And we enter the room and start walking through this labyrinth that leads through the room surrounded by piles of dead bones, and it's a long room, and there's lots of bones, and bones are kind of all yellowish and brownish, and some of them are covered with some kind of substance, and some of them are glistening, and there's this putrid kind of smell of something, not clear what it is, but kind of putrid smell. Well, of course, we are down underground, in a catacomb. I don't expect catacomb necessarily to smell very pleasantly, but well, there are these dead bones and a smell, and it's kind of dark. And what they do with macabre Gaelic humor, they stick light bulbs inside of skulls, so the eye sockets are lit up, and they also put lights under the rib cages and above bones and beneath bones. There's lots of play with lighting there, and looks quite creepy. And I think, like, all right, well, maybe it's just one big room, and I'll just make my passage through it. And I'm not happy. And I make through this room, and there's another room, and it's bigger, and there's much more bones, and the bones are like piled up to the ceiling, and taller than me, and there are people with flashlights crawling on top of those piles of bones and looking for something. Not many people crawling, but many people behind me and many people ahead of me. And the thing is that I can't really move very fast, because there are people in front of me that are moving quite slowly, and they are taking their sweet time, and they're looking at the bones, and they're like, yeah, bones, talking to each other in French, and we are kind of stuck. We can't go back, of course, but we can't go forward because there are people ahead of us. And I'm starting losing it. I am starting like getting very upset, and I turn to him, what the fuck? There are bones here? Mark, I apologize. I probably misunderstood. I thought the bones were removed, but they are apparently still here, but take it easy. We will be out of here in no time. And we start moving, and then I get really, really upset because it doesn't end. From one room to another, from one giant space to another, labyrinth going through the dead bones, bones everywhere, macabre little lights stuck inside of skulls looking at you, people crawling with flashlights. And I just push people in front of me, and I start running, and I'm turning back to my friend Yakov, and I'm cursing him like, you fucking motherfucker, what the fuck did you do with me? Why did you do this? You know that I hate dead bones, and I hate dead people, and I am horribly claustrophobic, and here I am in this cave and the labyrinth and the narrow passage. And he was apologetic and sorry, Mark, I really didn't mean it, didn't know what it was. And I'm running and I'm pushing people aside and I'm running. I know where I'm running because there's only one way to run forward. And I don't know how long it's gonna be. And I tell you, my friends, I ran for about half hour, underground, surrounded by dead bones, for about half hour, and I was moving fast, and I was pushing people away, cursing at Yakov, and he was somewhere behind me, and he kind of was curious. He wanted to take his time, but I would not have it. I just ran through this labyrinth of death, finally reached the staircase, went up as fast as I could, came out into the street, almost vomited. I don't know why I felt so bad, whether it is dead bones or just my very fast climbing up. I needed some food. We went into a restaurant, we ordered a bottle of wine, we had a salad, and I was cursing him all along, like, you motherfucker, how could you do it? And he was so apologetic. He was ready to pay for all my dinners in Paris, just have me shut up. But I wouldn't shut up the entire evening. My mood was ruined. I was very, very, very unhappy. So I want to tell you, my friends, if you have an aversion to caves full of dead bones, think twice before going to visit Paris catacombs. That's my warning.